Hello everybody, Darren here, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Now, it's been a little while since my last upload. I don't want to dwell on it for too long, just want to get into the building. But one thing I do want to address is that going forward, I'm going to be trying to have a bit more of a relaxed tone, maybe a little bit less editing, and just, you know, upload a bit more frequently. It's been like 3 weeks since the last video, and I sometimes just get in my own head about what I think is good and what's not, end up scrapping a lot of stuff, end up getting kind of, again, in my own head and not wanting to even record things, feeling like it's not going to be good enough. It's weird. I have a whole thing going on, I guess. Doesn't really feel like it. But anyway, I've also been working for Manor Lords. Some people might know this game. I covered it on the channel actually a while ago, and I've been working for the team for a year now. I've started with just one or two of us on the team, Greg, a programmer or so, and then myself. And now we've ballooned up to, like, you know, a full group of like 10 to 15 people. It's awesome, but it's becoming very, very busy. And I am technically a part-time developer on that game. You know, I kind of just do the hours that I can when I have them. So it's very free and open, and it's awesome. I love doing that. And I also love doing this, genuinely. But lately, that's been taking just a bit more time than I expected as well. So I just wanted to address some of that stuff and just get that out of the way. So that's where I've been. So apologies. I really want to get more videos going more regularly. And, you know, I've been in my head thinking like, oh, the quality is just going to drop, and then I don't upload anything. And you just lose people that way. So we're going to try and just get more videos going. So they're going to be a bit more like this. You know, a bit more freeform, few mistakes here and there, or ums and ahs and things like that. So hopefully it'll be all right. So where did we leave off in the previous video? Well, we were doing what I've just called the Tier 8 factory. So this factory, here's the layout for it here. And it's basically got, you know, supercomputers, turbo motors, radio control units, crystal oscillators, cooling systems, and then a bunch of other components. And we're trying to make a little bit of everything on the side to keep in a dimensional depot so that we have it free to build with ourselves. So where did we leave off in this chain? Well, we've done this much so far. Doesn't look like very much, does it? It's a tiny little component of the factory, but there's so much more to do. So if we want to have a look at that right now, I'm up here on the cliffs in the Dune Desert, and that is the sulfur component that is now completed. So really happy with it. You know, it's obviously just a basics little sulfur setup here, but harvesting the resources, getting them together, balancing it all, happy with how it's done now. Now the goal is to bring it down, the extra sulfur and the material that we make, down to a location somewhere over there. So why did we do that first? Well, the idea was to bring the sulfur pipeline along this way and then send it down somewhere here. I just feel like this is a really nice looking little crevice between the two cliffs here, and we could go pretty much straight down towards that water and towards where the new factory is going to be. And I'd asked people, how should we do this? So I'd said a big long ramp would look pretty bad, but I couldn't think of much else to do. And then other people were saying like, well, you could follow the natural sort of shelving of the cliffs, as it were. So kind of going down, then out, then down, then out, then down and out. And a lot of people actually did agree with that. There's a fair few upvotes on comments that suggested that. But the comment that I had seen that was my favorite was actually like coming straight out to some sort of observation tower. So it kind of, I'll have to, obviously I'm losing power in my jetpack here, but some sort of, you know, a straight line bridge that connects out to some sort of floating, like almost floating observation tower. And then beneath that, a straight down tunnel or pillar support, bringing the material and the pipeline down. There'll probably also be like water pipeline, there'll be the caterium ingots, and then there'll be some sulfur. So there'll be three things coming down. So a decent looking, hopefully decent looking anyway, glass sort of tower and walkway, and then a concrete base beneath that that kind of is propping it up. I think that could look decent. So that's the one I'm leaning towards. Alright, so there's not much else to really talk about. I'm going to build this factory to the height of the road, so that way we don't have to, you know, create any ramps or anything like that. And just pretty much cake this in concrete, and then we'll figure out where things are going to go from there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's not that pretty, but it had to be done. So I paved over a huge swath of the desert here, just a big blank load of concrete at the height of our road. So the road's probably going to have a junction somewhere here that turns into this factory. and kind of loops back out onto another piece somewhere out there. I haven't done that part yet. What I do want to talk about is the rail. So I was having a really big problem with this junction. It's a hard one to illustrate, but you should just know that I've done a T-junction here, no problems whatsoever. We've done a T-junction down here, no issues. And we've done, you know, single track junctions or whatever down this way, no problems there. Everything's always been fine. But for some reason, with this T-junction, it's just not working. So path in, block out, path in, block out. That's what I did. And it couldn't do it. So I ended up deleting all the rail and replacing them all, same problem. So I really don't know what's going on. So I've instead now opted for this weirder looking junction. I'll give out my save file. If you think you can fix that, that's fair enough. I'll probably stream this as well, just to show people for sure, like, here's how I'm doing it. I put in the station, so we have a copper station that's looking to take in 645 copper per minute. That's because we do also have a copper node just somewhere over there, which we'll get to in a second, and that should be able to supply at least 300. So in total, we need 945. This is going to mix with the sulfur pipeline that's going to be coming down from there. So we're going to offload copper, bring it across here, mix it with the other 300, and have a big leaching section, right, for the sulfur and the copper refineries to be over there. The next one is quartz. So this is quartz at 1080, so 1080 per minute is going to be coming in. The idea was that this will be coming in from over here. There are quartz nodes somewhere around this location here, I think, and if I hook up this rail line here, this rail line can make its way all the way down into this factory. So it's a high volume number, so kind of had to be done by train. Iron is needed as well, and so is coal, but in much lower volumes. So for iron, we have 1, 2, and 3 deposits. So there they are flashing on the screen now. And I've already just put a miner on those. They're all impure. So it's kind of nice making use of impure nodes, in my opinion, because there's a tasty pure node here. So with just one miner, we could have just utilized that. But I'm going to leave that open. I might use that in the future for something else. So instead, you know, having the foundation of the factories overlapping these ones, it's perfect. We'll just grab these 3, we'll feed them up, and we need in total, it's 360 is what's needed for the foundries, and then we need 45. So we need 405 in total. So these impure nodes are going to give us 150 until we make them Mark III. So we could get even more out of them. So that'd be 369. We'd be getting 900 eventually. But for now, we're getting 150, 150, and 150. So that's 450. And we only need, like I said, 405. So we got more than we need, which is great. That's why I was saying if we have extra sulfur, which we do, we've got a little bit extra, we can mix it with the remaining ore and then make leached ingots. So you get a high volume of iron out of them that way. So we'll do both, probably. All right, I thought I would actually just talk about this as well, just in case people are wondering. So pretending that our junction works totally fine, the way this works is we just go in this way, and then at the end down here, we siphon off into one group or into the other. So for me, to get this to work, these signals should be okay. So a train will wait here, and this blue, as long as the blue section is occupied. But once it passes into the station, we have these signals here that indicate, like, okay, the blue sections are free. So again, if you're playing Factory or something, this is like super suboptimal. It's not great at all. But I think in this game, it's kind of the best you can do. And the same is for coming out. So once you pass that threshold, you're on this red line. Now, like I said, the super inefficiency here is that this red junction is all the one thing. So only one train is entering and exiting this junction, including the exits for the stations, at a time. So bit messy, I guess, but like I said, it's not working right now, so can't do anything about it. Right, so I've been thinking about the road layout, and I've also just been thinking about the miners. I can make these appear anywhere. Rather than having to drag the belt all across the ground up here, I could just drag the belt across the ceiling below the floor, right? So on the ceiling, we drag it to wherever it needs to go, and that way we can have them all come up into the same spot. So I think I'll probably do that. It's definitely a lot cleaner that way. Right, so I'm going to connect the road just straight off from here. It's maybe not the wisest thing to do it straight off of a sort of a junction, like off of another thing where trucks come out. But I'm just going to risk it. I think it'll be okay. Famous last words, I guess. I didn't want to go any closer to over here, so I feel like this is as far as I'd really want to go. And if a road does continue this way, it would actually have to go up and over that rail. So the way I'm going to do this is we're going to mirror the style that was done over at the Copper Electric Factory. If people haven't seen that video, I recommend it. You know, it's about like making truck stations that work better than I've seen anywhere else, and they're quite reliable. I mean, trucks in 1.1 are fairly unreliable, generally speaking. They became worse in this update compared to 1.0. Quite disappointed in that, really, because a lot of people are just reporting issues where trucks just stop working. There's no reason for it. Redrawing the path sometimes fixes it, but it can just happen. So I don't know what's going on. But still going to endeavor to use them, hoping that they'll eventually fix these things. And hopefully, touch wood, I mean, we haven't had any issues with ours in this world. So I'm actually... I mean, they're actually turned off right now. Where are they? There we go. These are all working, right? And they're definitely working in here, so that's great. So we're just going to keep going at it, and hopefully things will just keep working. So if we... This is a mod, by the way. People keep asking, how did you get the buildings to appear? It is a mod. There's 2 mods running in this game for me. SkyUI, which allows me to change the time of day. Because I was, you know, for video purposes, it's like, well, if it goes dark, it's hard to communicate what's happening. And then the other mod is this one called Cartograph. So up here it says show Cartograph menu, and that's the mod that we're using. So if we show that menu, you can toggle, sorry, what you turn on and off. So if we just, this bar here indicates the level, the height at which we're displaying things on the map. So I'm going to drag this down to 70, which should be just inside the factory, and we can kind of see the layout of the trucks. So there it is. That's actually perfect. Right, so each one of these blocks is a truck station, and then the line is connecting them. That's the, I guess, the fuel line. And then this, like, sort of, what would you call it, diagonal bit of foundations here, is the sort of layouts that we went for to allow trucks to easily turn in and out. So that's what I'm going to do here. So it worked really well. Haven't had issues, so we're just going to keep doing it. So that means there's going to be a platform maybe here, although it doesn't really need to be, but it's nice just to have one just in case. And I think it's 8 across. So we can actually count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe. I think it is... Yeah, well, it looks like 9, so maybe we should go with that then, just to be safe. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was pretty sure it was 8, but it does seem to count to 9. So we'll do 9 across, and then we'll just... It doesn't matter. If it's too long, it's no big deal. So just go up this way, go down this way. And there we go. And this can just continue up. So I'm going to move these, like I said, so that's no problem. Get those out of the way. So again, to reiterate, that's going to be liquid biofuel, maybe coal, maybe limestone. I don't think there's anything else that really needs to come into the factory then, because then we're taken care of. There's going to be gas. We've got the sulfur coming down from the big pipeline. Quartz is coming in via train. I think we'll be good then. So that'll really be it. Now, the other stations might be for what wants to go out of the factory. And for that, I don't know how much there's going to be. I'm not sure. It kind of just depends on what the other factories require. So I'm just scrolling through my list here. You know, we're going to be making an excess of quickwire. A little bit, not much, but a little bit. We're going to have a generous excess of crystal oscillators, 22.5 per minute. And 12 supercomputers per minute. Now, these numbers are so low, it makes me want to think, well, actually, they'd be better suited for drones. Drone ports would be the way to go with those, in my opinion. But we'll leave this place reserved. So again, future-proofing, and we're just saying, like, look, if we want to add more stations, we got a nice big reserved line here for it. Now, how far are we really ever going to need to go with this? I don't know. We might want to cut it somewhere here in line with the station. That might look good. So I'll just say, from here, that's where we're not going to go any further than that. Hopefully we can fit every station we ever need into this area. So that's the, we can now say that the foundations are done. The mining is done. We have all the miners in place that we'll need. The rail is even done. And the truck stations aren't done, but we know where the layout's going to be. And it's really about figuring out the layouts first. The next thing I was going to do is refineries, but I think maybe I will just throw down these truck stations. If you've seen that previous video, you've seen how these are done before, so nothing's really lost. So I'm just going to try to throw them down quickly. I should have a blueprint for it, but off the top of my head, I don't really remember what it was. Is it in road infrastructure? That'd be where it should be, really. Now, I said I wasn't going to do any cosmetics, but the blueprint actually has another version where I've already done the cosmetics, so I'm just going to include that, and then we can paint it later if we want to. So nice and easy just to include that, and then we just extend the little metal beam all the way over the length of the platform, and we can, you know, maybe add some other flourishes if we need to. Alright, there we go. So with a little bit of effort for me, I just made sure the trim goes all the way around, the truck stations are all in position, and it's definitely overkill. We almost certainly will not need... Oh, look at this. How embarrassing. See, normally I would just be like, okay, let's redo this bit. I'll catch it in the edit, and I'll never know that I messed up. Anyways, right, so with that in place, like I said, we're not going to need all these, but at least that's tucked away. Next thing is going to be bringing the iron, the copper, all over to one section. So I sort of want to get a bird's eye view of this place again. I guess we can do that from up here, actually. And sort of partition off where I think maybe the foundries could go. So I'll map that out. If I have a look at my planning doc. Okay, I'm just going to wing it. We're going to do it live. So let's figure this out. So I've got foundry here, obviously. I'm going to leave space for some sort of walkway between these two areas, just in case. So I'm just going to be generous with the spacing, bring this all the way to the edge, and then half nudge it, which is unusual, but foundries are kind of off a little bit, so I think it's okay to do that. Alright, so 1, 2, we need 8 of these. 3, 4, 5... Actually, tell you what, we should really just copy one, set its thing, and then copy that. So we're going to do steel ingots, right? Totally normal. Except we need 8. And they would so 8 times 45 would normally be 360, but I actually would have 10 left over then. So I'm going to try and go lower than that. We're going to do 8 times... I need 350 in total, so let's see. 350 divided by 8 will be 43.75. Okay, cool. So we'll set this to 43.75. Alright, bit of an awkward clock speed, but a nice normal number there at least. I'm sure that'll be fine. And then we'll copy this 8 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Cool. Did I make blueprints for these ones? I can't remember actually if I've got foundries in here. No. That's alright. I don't really mind. It won't take too long. Right, so there's these 8. Now, the nice thing with this, because we balanced it that way, we should, I think, if we grab another one, be able to send this straight in. So we have to set the recipe as the molded steel beam, and normally they'll want 50 per minute. So you would need 7 of these to get to 350, but we're going to try and do 8, so that way we're just matching 1 to 1. So 8 divided by 350, well, we just did that number actually, and sorry, it's the wrong way around. But we know that they need 43.75 in as their input, which means it's the same for output, 43.75. Great, so they run at 87.5, so slightly different clock speed there. But this means that now we get to feed these directly into each other. So just move that there for a second. And this is lined up really nicely, actually. So one belt goes straight in, and the other one's going to come in over it. And that's going to be the concrete line. Yeah. Now, if you wanted this to be lined up super evenly, that's a good spot for it there. Hopefully that can fit. Let's see if this was going 1, 2, 3, and this is the concrete coming in. That could just slam in like that. Would that be all right? We need 8 of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And each of these can just have a 1-to-1 belt now. Alright, so 43.75 goes in to 43.75, and the number I needed, 43.75 times 8, was 350. So it does work out. The only thing different from my diagram is that I had 10 steel left over. We don't need that anymore. Instead of supplying 360 iron ore, we'll just supply 350. Instead of 360 coal, 350 coal. Totally fine. Because we're bringing it in via truck and these impure nodes. Anyway, so nothing is really lost. Great. All right. So I think just really quickly, I'll just hook all of these up. So there's going to be a line coming from here. 1, 2, 3. Like that. And we're just going to feed each one in. I suppose actually, oh, there we go. Solved it. Why didn't I think of that? If we hook it from the machine out, it's much cleaner. All right. So just going to do that all the way down. So this will be the concrete line, and this will need to be 210 concrete. Sorry, I just got distracted because I'm getting some weird frame rate issue here. This is kind of what I had in my streaming world, and I actually ended up stopped streaming because it just became so annoying, at least in that world. So when I look over here and I swivel left and right, it's pretty smooth, like pretty good. You'll notice there's artifacting on the controls of my right hand. Do you see the way the concrete is loading in as I look? So that's just a bit weird. But then when I move over here, it is super laggy. Like I can't get a smooth move. There's something going on either with the waterfall, there's something behind it, or I don't know. But yeah, anyway, that distracted me. So, right, so we have our machines at the back half, the front half. So these are going to be receiving coal Coal's going to come from probably that station, right? So we'll take coal out of this station, raise it over the road, join this area here, and then feed down the line. Then we need to supply iron. Iron is coming from beneath the ground, right? So there's 3 deposits in different places. We're going to join them all up on belts underneath and then bring that up. Okay, so we've got the truck station now with coal coming out and over the road to give clearance for the trucks. That then travels along this way and goes into our first set of 8 foundries that are making steel ingots. Those ingots go straight forward into steel pipe. Beneath is the iron. So iron is combining 3 of the impure nodes. So we've got 1 there, 1 here, and 1 here. So out of these 2, we're getting 150 each. So that's 300. And then the remaining 95 is going to be coming out of that. That's what we need. So that should be totally fine. Now, we only need 350, but I've added 390, 395 even. So we'll follow along the iron here, the iron ore. It's going to fill these belts completely, and then 45 per minute extra is left over. That's going to go into what I think will be 2 smelters, so we can start laying them out now. Things might have to move a bit, so I'm not going to hook up the logistics, but let's just say, you know, to keep it somewhat in line with this little group here, we'll say maybe 1 there. And another 1 here. So the remaining iron splits goes into 2 of these. These are going to be clocked to 75% because we need 1.5 miners. So 22.5 and then 22.5. So that's going to be our 45, the remaining 45 iron ingots in. So that's well and good. Sorry, iron ore in and then the same amount of iron ingots out. Those ingots then need to be pressed in 2 constructors. So again, these will be 1-to-1 and they'll be at 75%. So 22.5 to 15. Just double check that. 22.5 out. Great. So they're 1-to-1. Totally fine. I could push them back if I really want to. Actually, maybe make it all in line with these. That might be nice. Now, what do we need the plates for? 30 plates per minute. Such a small amount, but it goes into 3 blenders. So we're going to have a blender, I don't know where, 1, 2, and then 3. And these are doing nitric acid. The gas is going to be coming in from far in the north. So big gas pipeline coming in this way, supplying this area. It needs 360 gas in total. And then we mix it with 90 water. There's water right in front of us here. So that should be totally fine to make the nitric acid. Now, the nitric acid then needs to go into 9 refineries for quartz. If you remember, quartz is going to be coming in from over there. So I was thinking this is a perfect little area for the quartz refineries. 9 of them in total. And then what we get is a little bit of extra... We get dissolved silica out of these, as well as the quartz crystal. So forget the quartz crystal, that goes off somewhere else. But then we get dissolved silica, which is a liquid. So that liquid then, it has to go into, again, more blenders, plus water. Limestone's going to be coming in on this truck station. Some of the limestone will come in, and in 3 refineries, mixing with, again, water, we're going to then get concrete. The concrete mixes into here. And then the remaining limestone is going to move forward into the group I just talked about. So that's the plan. All right, I figured this was another good breakpoint. So this is going to be the limestone. So limestone goes across, clears the truck. So I built it at the same height as the coal. So that's fine. So limestone has its own little route. And I'm going to continue this out, just haven't done it yet. But it will be breaking off some to go into a series of refineries. These are going to be doing wet concrete. So I had written down that these are all doing 80 per minute. But they're actually, we only need 70. So we'll save on a bit of limestone that way. So from 120 down to 105. So that goes into these 3. So that's why I decided to use an even split. And the water that comes in from in the distance, that's going to be using 262.5 water. So it was 300 before, but now it's 262.5. So that's going to roll along here, go into these 3, and they're going to be all making concrete, which is now going to roll straight into these foundries. So you might notice I lowered this down just to match the height of this, because this is going to come over. So this is the limestone, this is the concrete. So additional limestone, as mentioned, it's going to be needed for the, let me just open it up again, the silica blenders. So you're going to maintain that height and continue along the water line and go into blenders that will be over there in the future. As for the water divisions and how we're going to do that, I'll just come to that later, because some of it's going to be recycled, and we'll just see where it makes the most sense to do that. Now, the next part was just tidying this up at the end. So these are going to be doing the iron ingots, right? So iron ore to iron ingots. Thinking about it, we could close there's an empty gap here. It'd be good to walk around, I guess. We could put a walkway between it. Anyway, the 2 smelters doing iron ingots. These 2 are doing the iron plates, and that's going to roll again into different blenders. These ones will be doing nitric acid when they get 90 additional water. Again, the water is all going to be coming from over there, and we could be removing parts of this concrete. We don't have to extend that far necessarily. There was the refineries I just did, actually, thinking about it, that are undefined still for the previous Caterium. That might be the best solution, actually, seeing as they're done. Yeah. Okay, so this will take nitric acid in. So the nitric acid is going to be coming from the right. Yeah, so I would say build these somewhere here. So the input of raw quartz comes in here. That's totally fine. And then the output will be the... Oh, it's perfect, actually. It's, well, we also need a material output, but that'll be the dissolved silica. I don't think I have this recipe unlocked yet, actually. And I'm not sure if this is going to be the right place to build this, but let's just wing it. So this will go down. And then this. And then we just need one more on the end. Are these all even spacing? Yeah, I'll just add the 9th one myself. Let me just see if I have that recipe. I don't think I do. I feel like it's, yeah, hasn't been unlocked yet. It might not even be available in the MAM until we progress some milestones. Yeah, so we could just start that now, actually. Just something like that. Because even though we could have 1200 per minute belts, obviously for a little while we're just going to be rocking the 780s. So we'll want to separate them out into 2 different belts. And that's fine. We have a whole station of 6 carriages that it's going to be bringing in quartz. People might be wondering, like, why not have 3 carriages do copper, 3 carriages do quartz? The amounts are kind of uneven between the two, and I think it's just better future-proofing to have trains dedicated to one thing rather than trains that have different stuff, because then we'd be like, we'd always have to make sure the front 3 carriages load copper and the back 3 load quartz, and when you pull up to the quartz train station, you'd have to have 3 empty stations effectively, or freight carriages. So it's just I don't really like that. So instead we'll just do it this way, where we have dedicated trains, and we'll just basically merge 3 carriages up and another 3 carriages up, and then we'll be good to go. All right, hopefully that's sufficient. Let's just extend this, and we'll do all the painting and all of that stuff later. Let's just get this one down as well. Now the good thing is they take such little nitric acid that this can all just be one pipeline, and in fact it can be a Mark 1 the whole way, and there should really be no issue feeding this whole thing. Although it might take a while because it is such a low amount that you kind of want to fill the pipes first if you can, but that could take quite a while, so you're only making 90. But happy enough with that. Like I said, we'll change that later, and then this one goes here. Is that right? And then 2 more. Now, they're going to be taking in, I don't know the number because I can't see the recipe right now, but it's 1080 that I've written down, so I just divide that by 9. 120. Nice, actually. This means it'll be like pretty much an instant manifold. No wind-up time for that. Because everything that's taking stuff off the belt is the exact number that has to go into the machine. Alright, cool. So 4 of them... Yeah, this is where it's a bit interesting or awkward, perhaps. Well, I guess it'll ultimately just all work itself out. I was going to say that if I just had a belt and then evenly split it, things wouldn't necessarily be even. Yeah, it's a bit messy, but the way I would probably do that, I mean, there's different ways of doing it, but the way I'm thinking right now in my head is 3 carriages combine onto 1 belt, and then 3 carriages combine onto 1 belt. Both of these divide into 2 belts each. And then we combine belt A with belt A, and belt B with belt B. And that gives us an A and a B. That won't matter if one is providing slightly less than the other, because it'll back up the other belt. Yeah, that should be fine. Because it's not like... Yeah, 540. It'll be more than enough to have 600 on one and 500 on the other. That kind of thing. Anyway, probably is a bit messy explaining that, but it's all good. So, like I said, we'll just paint these really quickly, maybe to some just generic quartz color. So that's our quartz. And then out of here, this will be the dissolved silica. Now, the dissolved silica is going to be 540 per minute, so we could just keep it as 1 Mark II pipeline. It's a very candy cane type colors here. Makes me think of sweets or little cakes. I was watching, did you ever watch those videos, like, how it's made? They're, well, back in the day, the documentaries, I guess, on the Discovery Channel or wherever different TV channels people had. But it's like a factory, and it's like, oh, you know, this place makes baked beans, and it's We do like 1.2 million cans a day. It's like, okay, that's like an insane. I don't even know how they do that.
We store around 12 million cans here. That will only keep the factory running approximately 2 days, 2.5 days. We used to hold 40 million cans. Now we actually make cans instantaneously. As the actual factory needs cans, we produce them and actually send them to the factory.
You bring in like literally like it's like, oh, 1 million cans a day. It's something crazy like that, like an unfathomable amount that comes out. And it's like, oh, Brits like enjoys 3 billion cans a year. It's like, what? It's crazy. But anyway, the thing that I find really crazy about it is think of all the metal that has to be pulled up, refined, smelted, made into aluminum, pressed into cans, and then shipped to this place. It's like, that's a whole thing just in itself to make the beans. Anyways, I got recommended after watching that video, a few days later, another one popped up. And it was like a sweet factory, or cakes. I think it was a Mr. Kipling factory by the sounds of things. And they had this amazing shot where it was like just rows of conveyor belts, as you'd expect. But they were, there must have been like 30 cakes, 30 of these like little cupcakes, effectively, like little cupcakes, just in a line, 30 like all side by side. So just like all in a line next to each other, just rolling along these belts. And then this goo, this pink, like exactly like this color, was just being like evenly spread on top of them all. So they're all going under and then getting gooed and then coming out like glossy and just so tasty looking. And there was a pink goo and a yellow goo. And there was a white one too. And I guess it's all the icing, right? The icing would be the proper term. But it looked so good. Anyway, bit of a tangent. Just in those colors, it immediately made me think of, hey, factory, real factory game for making cakes. And Rosie was like, why don't you make a factory game where you make like cakes and stuff? And I was like, that's a pretty decent idea. There is a game, I think, that's very like Satisfactory that is based in a fantasy world of chocolate or something like that. But I love the idea of actually having an industrial like food processing plant, and you can make baked beans or cakes or whatever it might be. But the idea of doing a sweet factory is quite cool to me, and you can make a DLC and it's like, oh, now we're doing like some other thing. It's like gelatin or whatever, making Haribo, whatever it might be. Other brands are available. Anyways, total distraction. Just thought I would chat to myself about that, basically. Right, so the refineries are down. I'm happy with the placement. 9 fit just fine. Interesting. So let's get our blender out, and we'll need, according to this thing, three blenders that are doing nitric acid. I don't know if we've got that unlocked yet. Let's just see, actually. No. Oh, we do have distilled silica as a thing to look at. So an alternate recipe for distilled silica. Oh, this is what I need. Yeah, great. Nice. So I don't have the recipe for actually making this yet, though. Do I? Quartz purification. Oh, I do. What the hell's wrong with me? Why didn't I find it in here? Oh, there it is. Quartz purification. Oh, my bad. Great. We have it. Excellent. So let's copy that and paste all the way down. Yeah, weird. I could have sworn I searched... Oh, maybe I searched silica, not quartz crystal. That must be what happened. Because that's their primary ingredient, right? Or the primary output is quartz crystal. Their alternate is dissolved silica. And I think I was typing in silica. Right, okay, that makes sense. Great to know that we have it, though. Right, so with that, yeah, I was researching new hard drives to see what else we could get. So you get 60, and we have 9 of these. So 60 times 9, that's 540. Perfect. 540 then into blenders making silica. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, but bizarrely, well, not that bizarre. I guess you have to unlock it. We don't have the nitric acid recipe yet. But we need 3 blenders. All right, so it's tempting. I think I will do this to turn these around. So we'll get our blender. There we go. Right, and then the outputs will face this way. And that might just make life a little easier with lining up these pipes. Although it is a... Well, yeah, anyway, it's fine. The gases will then come in from the far side, and then the iron plates and the water comes in from the far side, which works out as well. So the 2 pipelines on the far side just, I think, is a bit better. It does mean bringing these plates out and around, and then feeding into these 3. So if we leave a bit of a gap, like that, we can bring the plates forward here and then in. I think that might be a little cleaner. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you're the pipeline that you guys are going to be feeding into. Great. And you only need to be a Mark 1. Tell you what, I've been trying to do this more lately. Don't know why, but I just think it looks a bit nicer to not have the junction down there because it's not needed. So that's the starting point. These are the ones that actually feed on. Right, so these will be doing nitric acid and it rolls that way. For now, I'm also going to put down a junction just and lock it so that we can say we can let the nitric acid build up and then release it to make those machines kind of start a bit quicker rather than piecemeal feed them. Alright, so just lock that for now. Great. Now, next thing. So we know something's going to be coming along here. We can determine the height though. So this is going to be going over the pipeline. So I suppose we'll start this raised. Yeah. So this will be our merger and we're aiming that way. So 1, 2, 3. Start this raised. Start that. Great. And that's just going to go along this way and then continue being continued to be raised because it has to go into over these pipes. And it's just one material input, two liquid inputs. Now, is that going to be... It seems really close. I thought I built this okay, but yeah, damn. Maybe from here down? It looks a bit better that way. I think we can just about get away with it. Yeah, just about. You'll let me off, right? Give me that power. And then this one. 1, 2, 3. And then this one. So because this is raised, it's just easier to not have a turn at the end. So that's fine. Alright. Cool. Alright, so that's the 3 iron plates that'll be going in. 3 machines of iron plates. So the iron plate amount is going to be 30. So just like that. Manifold's a bit of a shame on this one, I guess, but whatever. It'll be fine. Because it could have just split and gone 3 ways evenly. Maybe I could do that if I want to be really nice about it. Should we? I'll tell you what, we'll leave it this way, and if I have more space, then I'll make it nicer. It's just I don't know if there's going to be machines going in front of this right now. Alright, so that's the acid out, and then we need basically the water pipeline, which is a very small pipeline for amounts. It's only 90. So just start somewhere like here, I guess. Tell you what. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. There is 2... Oh, the gas can come in from the top. Actually, that's perfect, yeah. Because gas doesn't need... It doesn't matter about flow or height for gas, it just works, right? So they can come in, feed down from the top, or slightly even raised will be totally fine by me. Could just raise these, thinking about it, like have that here. 1, 2. See if that fits into here. Okay. Let's do auto works, actually pretty nice. Noodle, horizontal to vertical, curve maybe? Kind of like, we'll just do the correct way, which is horizontal to vertical, the way it would want to go in. For that mode, and then we go 1, 2. Here, 1, 2. Let's keep them all together. Alright, great. So you just connect to your little buddy. You connect in there. You're in there. And you're in here. Now the gas pipeline, like I said, that's going to be coming from somewhere off in the distance. So I'm just going to do this for now. Make it a straight pipe. Is that too low? Oh yeah, my bad. And I'll just put a sign on that saying, like, you know, it needs gas, and it doesn't have to be there necessarily, but at least we just know that's there for the future. That's how we'll, like, figure it out. So we'll just say gas. There it is. And we need 540, I think. I think that's what I said. Oh no, it's 360. Great. 360 gas. Alright, so 360 gas, and then this bottom row is going to be the water. So we'll grab that one. And again, water is just going to be coming from some general direction out this way. This isn't lined up quite nice, so we'll grab from here, I think is what I said I was going to do. And again, we'll leave the pipes to last, or the extraction, because I don't know, like, what could we combine, what couldn't we combine. We'll decide that at the end. So again, we'll say this is water. And for this, we just need a meager 90. So that's why it's like, you definitely want to combine that with something else, or it could be some of the spillover that comes out of the other stuff. I don't know why that says steel. All right, great, 90. Cool. All right, so there's the blenders for nitric acid pretty much hooked up. Nitric acid rolls in. It's going to mix with the raw quartz, 120 per minute each, Mark II out of our mind, so that's great. 75 quartz crystal comes out, dissolved silica comes out. That dissolved silica is going to roll into 5 blenders, and that's where we want additional blenders somewhere here, with enough space to have 2 separate foundations for the various pipelines. Yeah, looking at this, I could maybe push those pipelines into here. Maybe, and have the 2 travel together, both in the center of this. Actually, that might not be too bad. Maybe we don't need to move this at all. And what else goes into these? These are taking in the limestone. Oh yeah, great. Okay, let's just go to here then. So it's 1, and we need 5. And this is now doing that recipe we just talked about, which is distilled silica. So dissolved silica, limestone, and water. So 2. Because it needs water, we would definitely need to move this further forward, I would say. I'm cutting it a bit fine for no particular reason, so let's just go there. So that's the 5. Easy peasy. Now, they need 450 water. 450 plus 90 would be 540. So still nice and cheap, relatively speaking. Like, it doesn't need 2 pipelines just for the water. So that works out really nicely. We could keep that separate. Now, ideally the water would be raised and then go into each of these. So let's see if the distance is okay here. So we'll go 1, 2. And then we'll try the horizontal to vertical mode again. Yeah, that's totally good spacing. All right, let's do that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. These never got their stuff hooked up, actually, just thinking about it. So, dissolved silica. Could feed it like a loop. No harm in it, I don't think. Not that it needs it, but it's quite interesting actually. I see an equal part. Yeah, there's going to be 540 liquid on this, and coincidentally 540 liquid on this, even though we don't need that for this. All right, let's grab these. Horizontal to vertical mode, just go down and in. These will need to be clocked slightly different, because I actually need 4.5 machines, and I put down 5. So, what is that? So we'll just say 4.5 divided by 5 is 90%. So we set them to 90%, and just copy that all the way down. Alrighty. Now, last thing. We'll start with this one. So in the same line, this is just going to feed around this way. And start feeding into each one. I'll change the color of these from this candy color. And I'll just have to double check that the math works out, but I'm sure it does. So what do we got? 243 silica. So 243 times 5. 1215. Is that correct? That seems really high. Hang on. What have I done wrong? Oh, that's what we put out. Actually, yeah, that's correct. 1215 is correct. Nice. Well, I meant to check actually what we take in, just to make sure what we've put down is correct. So 108. So 108 times 5. That's the... Yeah, great. Okay, cool. So this is totally good. All right. So now, just connect each of these to their inputs. Keep losing power on this side. And then I was saying that, like, this could wrap around and we could just create this, like, loop. don't know if that's a good idea. I don't think there's a problem. My gut tells me just leave it and send it out one direction. But part of me also thinks like, well, this would be totally fine too. So why not try it this way? Let's give it a go. If it doesn't work, we'll just put a valve on this one, tell it to go that way, and cut the other end. Part of me is like, oh, it's not centered though on this like little loop thing, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so next thing, we'll get this pipeline. So again, this would have to be a Mark II pipeline, but we could paint it. There we go. And that's just going to continue all the way, and that's the water. And then finally, we'll have to do the actual material input, which is limestone. Yes, I was forgetting what it was. Alright, so for the material input, that's going to go about here and here. So yeah, we could just aim over this. That should be totally fine. Good spacing on these then. Got kind of lucky with it though. 1, 2, and 3. Now, if I've done my stuff correctly, that is the same height as the limestone coming from there, which is brilliant. Now, we're not just getting limestone from there. We're also getting it from over here. Because that's not going to have everything. It could, but if we have limestone here, it's like, well, we might as well try and use this too. So it's an impure node, so we could get up to 300 on it eventually, but really it's just going to be 150 for a long time, so we should just take it to the bank that we have 150. Minus 225, so we need 75 then. So 75 is going to be coming along on this belt. So at some point they're going to kind of meet in the middle, I guess. Because these take 45. So 75 minus 45 means that this next one wants to receive 30. Now I've never done this before, but this is kind of a cool opportunity to try it. We've got 2 inputs here for materials. We only need 1 material, but we're coming from both 2 different angles. So I'm going to feed 2 inputs in of the same thing for ease of keeping belts separate. Because why the hell not? I'm crazy. It's happening. So we don't even really need a splitter here, but we're just going to do it anyway. Because it won't turn into it nicely otherwise. So do that. Get you to go down here to your chum. You're the 75 per minute fella. This one to do the same. There we go. And that would need to be a Mark II belt. So this Mark II belt is going to be traveling along down here all the way back to its original buddy. Which is super far down that way. Alright, cool. So, limestone comes in from the truck station. Most of it's going to pair off and go into those refineries to make concrete, which goes into these steel pipes. The rest of which is going to go this way, feed into 2 blenders. And then this is going to be also grabbing from the other line, which is coming directly from our miner in the distance. Is that correct, or did I build too far over? I did. So yeah, I've never done that before. I think it's kind of interesting, actually. I don't know why. It's just feeding the same thing into 2 inputs. It's quite an interesting idea, actually, just generally. You could make a machine, conceivably. Hang on, let me just get some power here. There we go. Oh yeah, I guess these aren't fully joined together. There we go. Anyway, yeah, so you could conceivably make a machine that actually has a really high demand. Like, if you really wanted to get crazy, you could say, like, a blender needs 2,400 material per minute at the like extreme end of being clocked, like, you know, with summer sloops and clocked to the max. And that way you could actually provide it if you had 2 inputs of tier 6 belts, Mark 6 belts. Kind of an interesting thing to do. I wouldn't say they should do it in the game, but a modder could maybe do it for fun and see what they could come up with. But yeah, something like that. So this is going to come from the other direction now. So we'll set that up in a second, but yeah, basically I'll have this line always go into this input. That makes sense. 1, 2, and 3. And then that'll be it for this. And I might wrap it up there. I know it's just like a weird interstitial building episode in some ways. Didn't get to turn anything on. But hopefully the logic makes sense. Hopefully me talking through it makes sense. Hopefully I didn't put too many people to sleep that didn't want to go to sleep. Because I do feel like it's a bit of a slower paced episode generally. But the next one, again, will be quicker because of it. So hopefully That's the important thing, really. I'll just go down to Mark 1. Just want to make sure I have done the math right in these. So it is 45 limestone. 1, 2, 3, and then the remaining. So 3 times 45 is 135 plus the 15 that's remaining. Yep. Great. And that's the 150 coming out of that deposit then. So that's the final deposit to hook up, and then we can wrap this bad boy up for today. I'm really excited to turn this on. I think it's actually... I was really stressing about the layout of this, but it's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually pretty clean so far. Having like these foundries fit into each other, that was really nice. Having these work next to these and work next to those, that's like a perfect little synergistic setup. And then the yeah, the train lines, hopefully... The biggest problem this episode had today was that junction, which has bothered me. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. Alright, let's just find that limestone deposit, which is basically down here. And again, if we just use... Oh god. Ugh. If we just follow the ceiling, we can kind of send it in wherever we need to. More fuel for the biofuel factory as always. So yeah, I can kind of decide its input actually. It could be coming in from right here, should we wish. Does it need to be Mark 4? I guess we'll just do it that way. Did I say it was? I don't think it was. It's 3 times... Yeah, it only needs to be a Mark 3 probably. So that should be fine. And then this is Mark 3 already. Great. Alright, so just go downstairs, pull that down just to the very top, and then decide how we feed it. So... Again, these are kind of placeholder miners. I feel like I'll put foundations on them and do something more interesting with them. But for now, it's just nice to get them hooked up and say that, like, if we turned it on, it would work. So just get rid of this. My god, that took ages. Okay. Rotate that around. Face straight east. Which means we're on the world grid. And then aim this up to there. Alright, 150. Great. Alright, Mark 3 out of our minds. That's just going to continue and go into there. So, it's on the center line here. Done. How good is that? So now we can confidently say the trucks are done, the refineries are done, at least at this bottom tier. A bunch of other machines are done that I didn't even list in the to-do list there. I wasn't sure exactly how much we'd actually get done. We've actually think I've placed all the blenders. Just double check. No, there will be 8 blenders for cooling systems which require 480 gas. So similar to the nitric acid, which needs gas, we might want to do blenders nearby for the same gas pipeline. So possibly, well, we'll need 2 gas pipelines. There wouldn't be enough gas for just one. I'll have to check that actually. It could be worthwhile doing a gas train, but I'll have to check, is there enough gas in the northern deposit? I believe there's one somewhere up here for all of the gas we need. It's 480 plus 360. I assume there's enough there, but I didn't look into that. So 840 is what we need. So 2 separate lines. One for this group and one for the other group. Because it doesn't matter about height, it doesn't really matter. We could have the other blenders upstairs actually thinking about it. And the gas could just travel up there, no big deal. So that might be a better solution, really. Let's do kind of a chromey looking pipe for gas. Anyway, right, so I think that's going to be it for this episode. Bit of a different one, as I mentioned, but yeah, I'm really happy with the progress. So all the layout is now kind of set, right? We have the train stations planned, the truck stations, all this empty room for doing the rotor motor production, so that's good. Then the floor above this, which we'll start working on the next episode, it's going to have its own set of refineries. We need to still figure out how to bring down the stuff from up there. So like I said, the observation tower. Then there are... Oh, actually, something I completely missed is we need... Oh, this is great. I'm just looking over my diagram now. We actually need rubber to be delivered via trucks. So that's great. We'll have obviously room for that. Don't know how I missed that. But more importantly, we actually need a train station for aluminum. We're going to be making heat sinks in a very high demand. So we need 1,125 aluminum alclad. So the aluminum factory's over there. The rail line's already hooked up, obviously. So there's no real problem with that. Did we hook up the rail line to send stuff out? Yeah, we did. Yeah. Oh, great. Good planning, Darren. So yeah, we'll add another train station along down the end here. and that'll be aluminum, or it could be quartz. It just depends which one we want to do what. But yeah, so that actually has to be planned in. So we'll do that in the next episode as well. All right, well anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know how you felt the episode went, and feedback is appreciated as always. Next episode, hopefully in just a few days, not too long at all. All right, that'll be it for me. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.